You open your banking app, the number's lower than you hoped. You think, okay, I need to stop spending money. 20 minutes later, you've ordered sushi. Not because you forgot, not because you're bad with money. Somehow your brain took I have less and turned it into I deserve something. That shouldn't be possible. It happens to almost everyone anyway. Logically, this makes no sense. Less money should mean more caution. Tighter spending. A brain in full lockdown mode. But human brains don't run on spreadsheets. They run on emotion, stress, and a surprisingly persuasive inner voice that's very good at negotiating. Sometimes having less money doesn't calm your spending down. It revs it up. And today we're going to find out why. Picture a very normal, very unfair week. Rent is due in 3 days. There's a credit card bill sitting unopened. Groceries need to happen at some point, unless you plan to survive on ketchup packets. And the bank balance is lower than expected because it always is. Then you see it. A $12 takeout deal. Not extravagant, not reckless, just there. And somehow, next to the enormous pile of rent and bills and groceries, $12 feels less like spending and more like rounding error. Here's the first reason this happens, and it's a strange one. When money feels tight, people often think about money more, not less. Every purchase becomes a tiny math problem. Can I afford this? Should I wait? What if something comes up? That mental math runs constantly in the background, quietly eating up attention. Psychologists sometimes call this the scarcity effect. When limited resources take up so much mental space that it becomes harder to think clearly about anything else, including future consequences. That means the very stress that should make you more careful can actually leave you with less mental energy to be careful with. But that isn't the weirdest part. When the future feels uncertain, a guaranteed reward right now starts to look a lot more appealing. This is sometimes called present bias, a preference for a smaller reward today over a bigger benefit later, especially when today already feels hard. A bad day plus an uncertain tomorrow is the exact environment where a guaranteed $12 of sushi starts to feel like the only sure thing in the room. Your bank account is screaming. Your brain has decided sushi will help. And this is where $12 stops actually being $12. Say you owe $2,000 between rent, the credit card, and everything else. You'd look at that $12 purchase and think, this isn't going to fix anything either way. Which is technically true. $12 was never going to solve $2,000 of problems. But that logic works in both directions. And your brain quietly uses it to justify spending the $12 instead of saving it. It's only $12, says the brain currently responsible for all the other $12 purchases. And don't worry, by the end of this video, I'll give you 2 dead simple ways to catch yourself before it happens. But first, let's understand why your brain does this in the first place. There's another reason, and it has nothing to do with the purchase itself. It's everything that happened before it. Which bill first? Whether groceries can wait, whether to use the card again. That's a lot of decisions for one brain in one day, and by the end of it, the brain isn't looking for the right decision anymore. It's looking for the easy one. And buy it is always the easy one. Here's the part that sneaks up on people. Each purchase like this feels small enough to not count. $12 here, a treat there. None of it registers as a real financial event. But a bunch of things that don't count somehow still add up to something. Like watching a few coins drop into a jar one at a time, until one day it's a mountain and nobody remembers building it. This isn't a lecture about lattes, it's about why each purchase felt too small to matter. Quick but important distinction. This isn't the same thing as financial hardship. People genuinely struggling often face real obstacles that have nothing to do with impulse spending. Expensive credit, no cushion for surprises, costs that don't budge no matter how careful you are. This video is about one behavioral pattern, not a theory of why poverty exists. If any of this sounds familiar, that's not a character flaw. It's just a brain doing what brains do under pressure. So what actually helps? Not a budget spreadsheet. 2 smaller moves. First, the 24-hour rule. A non-essential purchase made while stressed gets to sit for a day before it's allowed to happen. Second, name the emotion before you buy. Ask what you're actually purchasing. Sometimes it isn't sushi, it's relief, or control, or just 5 minutes where nothing else feels broken. The goal was never spend money again. It's catching the moment your wallet is being used as a therapist. Maybe your wallet isn't actually terrible at behaving. Maybe your brain just keeps giving it terrible advice. Subscribe for more weird things your money does behind your back.